back to I94 podcast. Today's topic is unemployment. What causes it? How can you prevent it? And ways to, how can I put this? Prepare yourself if it happens to you, whether you know it or not. And today with my co-host Rico, we have two guests.
Jeray Moore, MSW.
And Detroit Cannon.
Okay. So first of all, so I guess I want to start off by saying, what do you all think the cause of unemployment is?
Well, I've been in HR for 10 years. I work as a corporate recruiting consultant. So, in my profession, I've seen a lot as well as experienced it myself just from the consulting side. Because I do special projects, so I'll be on assignment for like 6 to 8 months, sometimes a year, and then my contract will end, and then I can easily file for unemployment until I find my next best opportunity. And I've worked with a lot of Fortune 500 companies, and sometimes, depending on your field, it could just be based on the project need, the budget, budgets being cut. Sometimes performance issues, if it's a full-time position, internal reorganizations that can affect your position or department. Lots of different, reasons. But from a professional standpoint, if there are reasons that you can take accountability for to try to avoid happening to you, particularly in your role, then you can try to avoid that. But sometimes it's out of your control, and you just gotta roll with the punches afterwards.
Very true.
I always tell people it's a job looking for a job. It's a hustle. Regardless of what your field is. You could be a doctor, a lawyer. It's been unemployed lawyers and stuff, with the recession and different things that's happened. And it builds tenacity. It kind of just shows, you depend on faith. If you're from a biblical background and stuff, it really tests your faith and your ability to thrive and survive and things like that. So.
Okay.
Jeray, what do you think?
I was just gonna say, so I work at the Department of Human Services, also known as the aid office. So that's where people come to get their food stamps, medical, and cash benefits. And contrary to what most people believe, they think people who are receiving benefits are lazy, they don't want to work. But I can remember when I first started working there, one of my first customers came in the office and were distraught, just like in tears, crying. I never thought it would be me. I never thought it would be me to have to be in this position to ask for government assistance and just feel like, less of a person. And so, like to piggyback up of what Deidre said, it can happen for many, many reasons. You could be working in a good, solid job for years and years, and you come home or come to work and there's a layoff notice, or just like what's going on with Chicago State University, like all of those people, the staff, the directors, the teachers, all, they're going to end up in the unemployment office or coming into DHS and needing some stamps and whatever else, they qualify for. So
that's happening with Western and Southern too. They just sent out notifications just like Chicago State. Mm-hmm. So those same people finna be in that same pool that she's talking about that's happening with Chicago State. So I don't think it's a way you could ever really prepare for it outside of you trying to build something of your own while you're working.
Saving,
while you're working for it. I mean, like you can save, you can pick up like a craft or some type of technical trade, something that you kind of do on the side to just kind of build up clientele while you work that job that you normally do. So that way, if it ever came a point in time, you can still have a kind of like a safe haven for yourself for if it was to come. And on top of that, savings as well, like she said. Like, I mean, our culture in itself it's been said that we don't save like we should. But I think that's a lot of Americans just period that don't really save like they should, because it's like you always know in 2 weeks I'm going to have something else. In 2 weeks I'm going to get another check or whatever the case is. So you don't really be in that mindset because it comes to a point sometimes where our control is not that good when it comes to spending. So that's outside of natural things that you need every time, like paying for your rent, your mortgage, paying for food, paying for clothes, and then if you have kids and everything else that's involved, that stuff you have unexpected bills that come up with that. So it really just boils down to you trying to build something on top of what you're already doing to kind of prep for it. I mean, you may not never get fired. You know what I mean? I've been there before. I was unemployed, and it happened after I got done with grad school. I thought it was. I had a master's degree undergrad. I think my son was like 6 at the time. So, mind you, I still have a kid to still produce something for. I got the degrees like I was told my mind to get, coming through school. But now I'm in this situation now where I don't have a job. I got to let go from a company, and I didn't know what to do next. I was fortunate that I was still living with my mom at the time, and I was able to like live off, her household. But everybody's not fortunate to have that. And even then, she still was looking like, you got to get up and do something.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So,
Right.
so I pumped out applications day after day, but I never thought I would be the one that had to go to the unemployment office, and I did. The day I got fired, that's the first place I went.
Yeah, definitely.
Like-
It's important. I mean, when my contracts and stuff had ended, it's just, clockwork. You don't even have to go to the employment office. A lot of people don't know you can apply online.
Yeah, I didn't know that at the
So
time.
yeah, it's like www.ides.gov or something like that, or
Okay.
us.gov or something like
Okay.
that.
And
But-
I'm sorry, but another issue with unemployment, they've shortened the time period that you can actually receive the unemployment benefits. And that's what a lot of my
okay.
customers come in
Yep.
also, like, I've exhausted, my
Everything.
funds. And before it was I don't know exactly how long it was, but it's a longer period of time, but now it's shorter. And now I guess their reasoning behind it was, okay, if we make it shorter, it'll put some hurry up on these people to
That's
go
true.
ahead and, get hired or find another job. But that's not the case because
I was-
there's no jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Was
there's
that
no
during
jobs
this
for these people to
recession?
come. This
That it
was recently. I mean, like, as of like the past year or so, people are like, I've only
so
received
it
it for a
was-
couple of months and I'm done. And they're still out of work.
Well, you know what? I think that when it comes to unemployment, like I was reading on like the numbers for it, and it was saying like right now, I think unemployment is at like 5% or like 4.4%, somewhere around that range.
Right.
And with it being as low, this is like a historic low from compared to what it was when the Great Recession was happening. Because when I
Exactly.
came out of school in 2008, it was
Nothing.
It was 10%. But the
Yeah.
thing is that when you look at it, it's 4% total for the country, but it's double for blacks though. So
Right.
like it was 8%. It's 8% now unemployment for blacks, and that's the blacks that's in the statistics that's actually searching. Because after I think it's like after 4 weeks or something like that, if you're not considered searching, you don't even get counted in the statistics when they look for who's unemployed. So you have underemployment that you have to deal with, people working part-time jobs, and then you got unemployment of people who just have basically given up even searching or looking after their
And
benefits
veterans
exhausted.
and all that.
Yeah,
And
so-
it is a discouraging process when you, like she said, it's a job to fill out applications. Like, you have to sit there, you know how many fields and
Yep.
pages when you're online,
Right,
and
that's true.
you have to upload your like 1,000 times. It's a
have
lot
to
to
change your
even
resume around.
and never hear back
Yeah.
anything.
You gotta change
It's
the wording
discour-
around. It's about wording in
Yep.
the resume and stuff like
Well,
that.
I think good pointers for people who might be in this situation and are kind of confused or don't really know what's next. I definitely recommend them getting their resume critiqued. Ideally, if you have someone that's in the human resources field, or if you have like a family friend, like go to them first versus like going on Google and paying someone like all this money to
Yeah, like a headhunter.
yeah,
or
like
something? Okay.
I've revised candidates' resumes just out the kindness of my heart, like in the middle part of my workday, because it was just that awful. And I'm like, let me
I
do
helped
you
them
a
out.
huge favor. And I've had situations whereas because I took those extra 15 minutes in my day to revise someone's resume and then I sent it to my hiring manager, they actually ended up getting the job. Whereas
Wow.
yeah, and like they were like extremely grateful and thankful and were just like, oh my God, thank you so much. And like there's been a lot of rewarding highlights in my career, whereas I really enjoy what I do because I'm helping people's livelihood. But what I was gonna say is definitely enhance your resume. Make sure you update your employer name, the dates that you were employed, and make sure you're using different type of enhanced words to describe your responsibilities and what you were doing.
You can look those lists up online.
Yeah, exactly. And like even if you don't have like a fancy job, you could be like a customer service person at Chuck E. Cheese, but it's all about how you describe what
How you
you're
describe
doing,
what you do.
So it's all
your-
about your presentation
Exactly.
with your
Like,
resume.
You have to sell
Everything
yourself.
is work.
Exactly. You have to sell yourself. It's about interacting with customers or dealing with, monetaries and, money exchange or taking on a managerial role or things like that. So it's all about how you word it to make it sound like you really know what you're doing. You're selling yourself and you're beefing up your resume. That's what we call it and stuff. And then from there, like we were all saying, like, go to the unemployment office or, do it online. It literally takes like 10 or 15 minutes to get done. Your unemployment letter literally takes about 1 or 2 weeks to come. The amount will vary because everyone's income is different. So
Right.
some people can live a little bit more comfortably based on what their reserve is. And other people, it still might be a struggle. So I think you are allowed to have a part-time job while you're drawing unemployment, but you just have to report those earnings and stuff. And then, just stay faithful and prayerful and, just, stay positive, don't be down on yourself because that's negative energy and you just have to kind of, stay positive and do your due diligence.
I think it gets difficult for people to stay positive in those times, especially when it's so much coming at them at one time, trying to live in itself as far as food, clothing, shelter, and then it really depends on people, family situations.
Right,
sometimes.
and if they got kids or not.
Yeah, I definitely want everybody to stay positive. 'Cause I think when I was unemployed, I was highly positive about it. Like my fiance was my girlfriend at the time, and she didn't understand. She was like, "You just seem like it's not getting you down." I was like,
Don't let it.
"Yeah, I'm like I'm gonna be okay." That's all I kept saying. God got me. Don't worry about it. It's gonna happen. She was like, "Well, I'm gonna stay as positive as you stand." You know what I mean?
Energy gets around you.
That's what.
Being
gotta have
sad and
positive
depressed
energy.
is not going to do nothing.
It wasn't gonna do nothing. It wasn't.
yeah.
And I felt at the time, I'm not even gonna lie. When I was on unemployment, I was one of the happiest times of my life, though.
Not me.
Because,
Like, you get a chance
It wasn't
to
for
do
me. I'm
life.
sorry. I couldn't do nothing because I was broke.
Tell us your story.
Well,
then.
that's where the saving comes in. You got to have that reserve.
Yeah, tell us your story. when you
I
was
mean,
unemployed.
I graduated in 2008, so like you said, the Great Recession. So it took me at least 3 or 4 months to get a job. But again, I was living with my mother, and so I would just spend every day online applying, going to getting headhunters, going to unemployment offices, and just getting a runaround, getting dead ends, and I didn't feel like going out. I didn't feel like socializing. I wasn't seeing anybody. I didn't feel like doing anything. It got so low to the point where my mom had to give me like money just to get a haircut, and I even like was arguing with her like, for what? I'm not going anywhere. But she was just like, well, you never know, you might have an interview.
Right.
So it's like you said earlier about the resume, your physical appearance should be up to par too with your resume.
Right.
So I think that played a major part as well. But like you said earlier, Rico, it's hard to be positive in a
It's
time like
difficult.
that because you got bills, some people have kids, and all you're thinking about is paying for
that
that.
situation before it got better?
Like 3.5, 4 months. Then it started picking up.
That's good.
I went through that. You said you graduated what year?
08.
08. The same year I came out. I came out in fall 08 though. I think you left in spring, right? So when I came out, before I left, when I was in school, I was doing everything I could to try to build like a strong resume as best as possible to be presentable for when I was done. So like I did internships, like they always tell you to do. I worked a regular job. I joined organizations. I joined the fraternity, had a leadership role.
Right.
I joined some outside organizations, still had leadership roles in that. And I just thought I was setting myself up for this ideal, candidacy for when I got out. So when I was finished, before I left, I was going to say 2 months, 3 months before I left school, I would start pumping out resumes left and right. I can only interview so much being still in school.
Right.
So, most of my stuff was either over the phone, and if I knew I was going driving to Chicago, because I used to drive to see my son every 2 weeks, I could set up an interview either then by leaving like on a Thursday and interview on a Friday. I wasn't getting no hits. Like I was interviewing, but I wasn't getting anything that was gonna be like substantial for me to be set up. So when I got done, I moved back, graduated, all the hoorah, hey,
Right.
you made it type of ordeal. And then when I came back, it was like it was a hard hit of reality because I tried 3 months out. I had internships. I had the high GPA. I had all that I thought was going to, set me up. and I just wasn't getting it. So then I was trying to tap into networks. I networked a lot. So I was tapping into people that I knew, like, you know, y'all have any openings going here. A lot of people would say they can do things for you, but sometimes
they don't want to put their livelihood on the line.
And that's what I experienced most, and that hit me hard too. So that led me to a level of depression, because then I was like, man, like, I don't have enough money to do this for myself, let alone my kid. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't supposed to be like this. I didn't think it was going to be this way. So what I ended up doing, I tapped into the frat network, and I got with my Dean Swiggs, and he put me on the job working with him at the law firm that I met you downtown. We was working at. Yeah. The only thing was I was only set up to be part-time, so I was making like $12 an hour, fresh out of school.
Was it master's?
No, this was undergrad, first time.
I'm like,
yeah, no, yes.
But some people do though.
They do though.
Like, they be getting them degrees and still be making minimum wage.
I got a story for that too after grad school, but after this was undergrad in 2008 when I left out, and then I was doing that with him downtown. And, you know,
for a year.
Yeah, for a year. And my parents was real supportive. Like, my father would, like, get up and try to make sure, like, I didn't spend most of my money and make me lunches. And, you know, my mother was there for if I needed help with something. Like, they was real supportive, man. But I felt like I didn't meet requirements, so to say, because I was still looking for jobs, but I still wasn't getting hit. So every day I'm thinking I'm going to this part-time job. I only got enough money to pay my cell phone bill at best. Right. And outside anything extra, I can't do nothing.
That's how it is. I mean, you know, coming out of college, like, none of us, well, I'm not going to say none of us. Mm-hmm. Some of us were able to land a job in our field coming out of college. I wasn't. When I first came home from college, I had worked as a waitress in Carbondale. So when I came home from college, I'm like, well, hell, I'm going to get another waitress job. So I have to waitress and bartend and still putting in resumes, you know, for a social work position. And you not unemployed, and it's, you know, but it almost feels that way, because it's like I'm not working, you know, in what I went to school in, and I'm bartending, and it's people around the bar just like, you know, how they talk to bartenders, small talk, whatever. And they're like, oh, well, what did you go to school for? And I'm just like, oh, I have a bachelor's, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, why you work here? I'm like,
you definitely hear that.
Reality check.
Same reason you drinking
it. I was definitely the same way. I can see that.
That's true.
And so then there's your motivation to keep pushing. But when you applying for jobs online, don't it seem like, oh, if I could just see them in person,
they would
if they could just meet
you
me,
say that so much.
That's where LinkedIn comes in.
Yeah.
And that's another resource people need to really utilize. LinkedIn is huge right now. Mm-hmm. You know, aside from a lot of the other job boards, you know, you can put a photo on there. Yeah. You know, I have like over 2,300 contacts on there. Like, I've been utilizing it for a long time.
Too. I have to,
It's so important to be linked up with like different people, because
networking.
That's where you get your visual. You know, put a nice professional photo. This ain't Facebook, Instagram.
Get a professional picture made for your LinkedIn, not a cell phone selfie. Like,
exactly.
It's your professional Facebook, so to speak.
Agreed.
Let me ask y'all this: why do y'all, like, with unemployment being what it is, like ours as Black people is doubled? Why do you all think that our unemployment rate is higher compared to even just the nation's average?
I think sometimes it's not instilled in you at home to, you know, to be motivated, to push towards, not saying that everybody has to go to college, you know, to even, you know, put forth your motivation towards a trade or, you know, training towards a certain career. Sometimes I hear people saying, like, dang, you have your master's. I wish I had someone who motivated me to go ahead and go through and get my master's. And you don't think about that. Like, yeah, like, literally, my mom was like, no, you're not coming home. You're about to stay there and finish through. And I'm just like, okay, Mom. But I'm glad that she did it, because now you have people who look at you like, oh, I wish I can do that. Or I have customers. I have my master's posted in my office.
That's great.
So when my customers come in, they're like, dang, I want to do that. And you, like, motivate people to go ahead and push through.
That's
so
dope.
having somebody to, like, instill that in you plays a major role.
My mom has her master's, and she did give me that speech. She was like, no, I want you to stay. Exactly. She's like, because if you don't do it now, you probably won't go back. And I'm just like, well, I'm ready to just come home and make money, and I don't want to go through anymore, like, student loan debt. And I'm just, you know, I'm just ready. And I was just so ready to get from Carbondale, you know, and I had a boyfriend there at the time, and he was begging me to stay because he was still doing his football scholarship thing, and I was just done. I was just over it. And I was just like, nah, I'm just not. And then also, to be honest with you, I was intimidated with the whole, your thesis. I used to hear such scary stories about the thesis. And granted, I am a good writer. I recently published a book in 2014, so writing is okay with me. I think I probably would have did okay had I just did it, but I heard so many scary stories about this thesis. Stories. And I was just terrified, and I was like, no. I was like, I'm straight. I was straight. And I have not, I've thought about it, but really, like, 10 years in my career, it's not even necessary now, unless I was looking to go into, like, a director level or something over, like, global talent acquisition. But, I was going to say, too, like, I think unemployment and going through those transitions are different for men and women. Because men, you guys are supposed to be the head of your households and providers, and men don't really feel that confidence. Steve Harvey says a man's job is to protect, profess, and provide, and like he's not really gonna want to move forward in certain parts of his life unless he knows how much money he makes. It's like 2 other key points or something. Also, it's in one of his books, and and that matters to a man's confidence. But I think for a woman, yes, it matters for us too, because so many of us want to be self-sufficient and independent and successful. But we kind of have that cushion there too. If we are married or engaged or have a boyfriend, you go have our family.
Knowing like, well, my husband,
he'll take care of this.
My man's got me. So it's not, but I've been on both sides of the fence. Whereas I was like super Miss Independent, and I had my own condo I still have my condo, but 7 years. I became a homeowner at the age of 21, like right out of college. And so I was blessed. My mom really pushed me in that direction. Like she told me she didn't want me to rent, so I did come home and stay with her for like a year or 2, and then I got my own place in 2007. So, I did have that responsibility, like, and that was kind of terrifying, because I'm like, oh my God, I just signed my life away, all these documents. Yeah, for real. And it's like, I'm responsible for this monthly mortgage. Like, oh my God, like, I have to work for the rest of my life to make sure these bills get paid now, right. So, and I wasn't dating anyone seriously at the time, so it was all on me, and when I was in job transition at times, I did feel that pressure sometimes, because I didn't want to go back to mom and like ask for her help, and I wanted to prove that I could do it all on my own. So it just depends on everyone's individual situation, but I definitely feel like there's a little more of a cushion in certain situations for women versus men, and stuff from the confidence standpoint.
I could say that myself. As a man, I felt that. Like, I felt like I couldn't do those things. Like when I couldn't find work, I didn't have work like that. So like when I was unemployed out of undergrad, that's when I made a decision. I think I told y'all when we was going to court, like, I'm going back to grad school. And I was like, I'm applying 3 different schools, whichever one work out for me, I'm gonna just go ahead and knock that out, because that'll buy me some time. And I'm hoping that the economy is better when I come out.
Right.
I always knew I wanted to go back, but I wanted to come out, work, get some years of experience under my belt, then grab a master's degree. But I kind of rushed the process just on base how the economy was at the time. So I did that. Came out, still was kind of in the same boat, because when I left grad school, I interned up north in Waukegan, and I was working for Lake County. I wasn't making a lot of money because it was an internship, but I was doing well for myself at the time. So when I was over with, I was looking for work, couldn't get work, and then I just happened to network, and a Kappa from SIU put me on my first job working in retail. He put me in at Target, and I was making like $50,000 a year, but it was not what I went to school for.
Right.
I was like, I just did
all about network.
6 years.
I honestly think that there's a percentage somewhere out there that's probably extremely low that says people get their job in the
field that they want to.
Yeah, and I think that's like banged into our heads when we go to college. Like, you're gonna go to college, you're gonna pick this major. And you're gonna work in your field when you graduate from college, and then when that doesn't happen, it's like
depression sets in.
It hits you.
Okay,
so
you kind of landed in there.
I did
so
after waitressing.
Right.
Not out the gate.
Right. Well, I got my degree in mass communications with a minor in advertising, but it was radio and television production. Okay. I initially wanted to be a casting director and stuff, but I decided not to do the whole LA thing, and I was dancing. You guys know I was a big dancer on campus and stuff, and I thought maybe I'd pursue that professionally out in LA. But my mom, she worked in human resources, so that was my plug.
Network, okay.
So a lot of times, a lot of people
key.
end up in fields that
Major
their parents are in too, because that's their
connections.
Their connect, So it's like, oh, my son's graduating, hey Bob, or like
He's
my
looking for
daughter.
work.
Right, that's how it works. I mean, on the flip side, on the other side, that's how that. What's the big fancy word that they use? Nepotism in corporate America. That's how they work it.
That is true. They do that all the time with their kids. And That's how.
It stays in house.
True.
It's just a
That's
rotation.
kind of how it is with my mom too. But it kind of happened coincidentally. Like she's originally like an accountant, and so she fell into an opportunity to open a mental health center. And that was when I was, at the end of my high school, I worked there, like receptionist, doing filing, whatever. But then from working with her, I'm like, I think I, want to do something in counseling, education, something along that route. So it kind of helped me figure out what I wanted to do.
Give back.
And so once I graduated, I did have a little opportunity to kind of work with her, like counseling the patients that she had there. So
that's good.
And it kind of worked out. So
and see the two key things I'm learning from listening to everybody's stories is networking, and like basically you're a family member, a close friend, kind of set you, set you up.
Cause I ain't had
into that field.
I ain't had it.
And I feel like with blacks, we don't have that. Whereas
that's
other
what I was
races
gonna say.
do.
We don't have it.
And I think we need to get more so in that mindset. Like with me experiencing what I experienced, like I don't want my kids to have to go through that.
Tough.
So like how I think about life right now is I want to try to set up as much as I can on my end, no matter how late night I have to do, how many hours I have to do, because when they get to this age, which will be soon, you know what I mean? They're going to be like, I need help. I need some guidance. Like, what can I do? What should I do? I might not have the connect at the corporate entity to say, yo, Bob, can you... such.
Hey, Bob.
So, like, what I think about is like, developing myself in a trade so I could build a business. And then as I build the business over these few years, I can say, son, come look at what I do. Yep. If he likes it, cool. I can set you up, to take over what I got to, because one day I'm going to have to leave this earth. One day I'm going to have to die.
Right.
So I can set him up to take over whatever I have. Same goes to my daughter. But I think a lot of our people in our culture, we don't think that far ahead. And I think that in the past, most people just took a job just because they needed a job. And they gave their heart and all to this job for 20, 25 plus years. And I got a check every 2 weeks, but I was never building nothing outside of on the side for my kids to look at. So then our generation came up. We went to school, and then when we came out, we like, man, we didn't know a recession was gonna hit around the time we went to school. You can't predict that type of stuff. You know what I mean? You just looking at everybody else that's succeeding, and you have this ideal picture of, I'm gonna go to school, I'm gonna pick this, I'm gonna get into my field, I'm gonna excel at it in my field, and this is what it's gonna be. And that's not really reality. It's not really reality. You have to sometimes lower your standards to a certain degree, but you can still have a vision of what you want to do and push towards it by setting yourself
up. You have
up.
to start somewhere.
Yeah, everybody has to. You know what I mean? Like you worked in retail before. I worked in retail before. You probably be like, I never would think I would end up in retail. But when you come out of school, if that's what's putting food on your table and clothes on your back and shelter, you're not going to judge the description. But the thing about a man is a job for a man to provide and protect. That's his identity.
Right.
Like that's like his.
It's his pride.
Yeah, that's
everything.
That's when you first go into a room and you meet, like, let's say we all went to SIU, right? We first go meet somebody from SIU culture, or we go to like an event. The first thing we'll talk about, we'll say what's up and what's going on. We'll say, what do you do?
Yeah.
What do you have going
Where
on? What are you working for? You know what I'm saying? Like that's the question that comes about, and you talk proudly on it because that's your identity to a certain degree. I'm not saying that's all you, but that's kind of what levels you above others to a certain degree.
Defines a person.
That you are.
A large percentage of who you are, just is from what you do, like how well you do it.
It was like when you were in school and you'd meet people, first thing you'd say, what's your major?
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
So I feel like, in a way you're low-key like sizing people up.
You are in dating. Like, you engineer.
Right.
Exactly. You like, oh, girl, you engineer major, right?
You gotta be in law school.
He's in law school.
After you get past the nil, you be like, what's your GPA though?
Right. Like you become a whiz at that. Like, okay, if you XYZ major, you only gonna max out at 30.
It's so much,
If you got this GPA, you only gonna get 25 grand. Like, you master that in
That's
college
like
though.
some people who even their parents, like I have some friends who really wanted to be teachers and like they fought nail and tooth with their parents because their parents knew, unfortunately, like a lot of teachers don't make
a lot of
that
money.
Same thing with social work. Like, don't go into this. They tell you that in college. Like, I remember our classes, they're like, don't go into this field thinking you about to be making money. Like, so, you don't want to be here, leave now.
At least they told it to you at the door.
And these are paid professors, like teachers, that's supposed to inspire you.
Right.
They just keeping it.
But you have to go into something that you're passionate
That's
about.
that's
And
what matters
sometimes
most.
it's not
over
all
money.
about the money, but you want to make the money.
Right.
But if it's, I've had a job. Well, I can say now, like working where I work now, I'm more geared for like counseling. Working at the DHS office, it's pretty much taking information, entering it into the computer, and whatever. I don't feel like I'm being challenged enough as far as like what I've learned as far as like counseling and mental health and things like that. So I'm making more money. I was a counselor in my last position and I loved it. I was so fulfilled. I worked with children in foster care. I helped them overcome, their anger management and all that stuff. And now I'm just like, here's your link card. Here's your link card. So I'm making more money. I'm not as happy. I was making less money and way more happier, way more motivation to get up and go to work.
Right.
Than I am now. I'd be like,
I can say that it's not all about the money, but it took for me to go to a job while I was making money and I hated it to realize it. Like,
so what'd you do? Did you stay?
No, I ended up leaving.
Okay.
I ended up leaving. When I got let go from Target, when I was working at Target in retail, doing that, I hated it because I was doing like 14-hour shifts, making the same check every 2 weeks. I didn't have free time. Like I hated it. I used to be in the freezer, like stocking food. That's why I got a master's degree. I'm here stocking food.
Like this is beneath me.
I hate this shit. But I took the job because I needed something. You know what I mean? But then like when I left there, I was unemployed for I think 6 months before I got my next opportunity, which led me into what I do today. I'm not saying it's the greatest, but I feel a lot better doing it compared to what I was doing back then. But that was a self-awakening period for me to be like, yo, man, it's really not all about the money. You got to find something that's like at least somewhat of a passion for you.
Yeah.
You have to. But I was so built on money, provide, protect, do this. I thought that was going to be it. But if you getting up every day to do something that you just really dislike, you got to understand you're doing this for 30 years. You're doing this for 40 years, setting up for your retirement. If you really dislike it, it's going to hurt you. Same thing go for a relationship. When you get in a relationship with somebody, if y'all got kids, I understand people get married, they have kids, stuff like that, but people fall away sometimes in love. And if that happens and you stay with somebody for 30 plus years just because of that, you waking up every day unhappy. And like you only got one life.
Yeah.
People do that too.
I've heard it's happy.
Right, over everything, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Whatever makes you happy, man.
Yeah.
But
people have
it's
said, like, I'm sorry, but they, like, just to say, go with what he was saying, like, I know people have said that they got married for the wrong reasons, and I'm like, oh, what's your reason? Like, for the kids.
Yep.
For the kids, or it's a business deal.
Yeah.
it can be more money. Right, that's the undertone
And
of
then,
it.
and then they're having, like, open relationships and things like that.
And then the one thing that kills marriages is finances.
Yep.
That's like the number one factor.
Number one.
And finances go with employment. So now if you deal with somebody who's been at a company for so long and they lose their job, man, your man now, he can't even pay the electric bill, or your man can't even go get this. This ain't even just the extensive things that you want to get bought, but if he just can't do the basic things, it's like how are you viewing him? What's the light of what he's been viewed in? You know what I'm saying? That's keeping him going. I'm gonna be honest with you. When I was unemployed out of undergrad, I had a girlfriend at the time, and if it weren't for her, I don't know, I may have walked off my rope or something because she was the driving force that kept me still pushing and kept going. She saw more in me and what I could do opposed to what I saw at the time because I was depressed. And then when I left grad school, when I lost that job at Target, my fiance now, she was the backbone. So I got lucky because I had two women in two different times of life.
Two backbones. You got two. Some people don't even get one.
That's what I'm saying. Some people don't even get it, but it take that woman to see that potential sometimes and ride that wave with you. And then everybody likes to be at top and peaking at life, and nobody peaks forever. I always say this. I think you talk about this on the phone. I'd be like, man, people peak at different stages of life.
Yeah.
So where you might be at, you see your friend at 23, and you might be still down there at 23. You may not reach your peak until you 32. You know what I mean? Like everybody has different peaks and different times of life. But I think that sometimes we as people, we get so encompassed in what everybody else is doing, and we're not measuring up.
Right.
Not saying we want to do what they're doing, but we're not even measuring up because we seeing them just shine and do what they want to do.
That's true. But then that's when you can't compare yourself. You know, you just stay in your lane.
You can't.
You have to work with the gifts that God gave
That's
you.
true.
And be thankful and grateful for even if it is just the basics. Because, like, you know, we all know a lot of things that glitter ain't gold. You know, you got this car cracking out here and people selling drugs or people stealing stuff, you know, like
Make
just
it
to
the
like,
wrong
right,
way.
image, you know, don't get fooled by
They
the
wrapped
smoke
in the
screens
body's
and
image,
mirrors, you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? There's a lot of people out here fronting, and I tell you, like, Chicago is the key city from the
Front?
female standpoint. We know that this is the land of fake ballers, okay? Chicago is the land of fake ballers, and, like, I've always felt that way. And, you know, a lot of times I felt like when I was single and dating and stuff like that, like, I don't know if it's just a man thing or if it is a city thing, but I just felt like a lot of people always try to like over project themselves, like versus just being who they are, because so many women nowadays are caught up in all the glitz and the glam and the cars and bottle popping and all the stuff that don't matter versus the substance of a man and what, you know, is he going to be good to you? Is he going to be loyal to you? Can he provide? What's his education and family background and things that actually matter so you can build and grow? You know what I'm saying? Because all that other stuff is just temporary.
And that goes back to the question you posed earlier, like, how do we prepare for unemployment? You have to not focus so much as we want to focus on, like, image, cars, you know, our accessories, purses, red bottoms, what have you. You know, but sometimes you have to just, like, discipline yourself and stack that dough so you're able to have that at a certain point. Like, you may not have that at 21. You may not have that at, 22, 23, fresh out of college. But stack it so when you 30, you can for real stun them. Get you an RA, get you retirement, get you your pension going. Like, I want to stunt when I'm 60.
I do too. I want to start on like 45
Right
traveling.
now, I'm grinding. So when I'm,
but the thing is,
I
like,
agree.
be that fly.
the thing is though, like in our culture,
Convertible.
in our culture and society, like they aren't portraying like employment. They're portraying like drugs, murderers. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that.
Quick
so,
scheme stuff.
Yeah. So somebody working in retail or McDonald's, they're not getting that fulfillment because whatever it is that motivates them, like let's say a woman, she's getting into the car with the drug dealer, or she's in the car with the drug dealer as they're handing them their burgers out the window. So I think with the unemployment thing, the silver lining could be you already at your low point, so it can't get any worse. It can only get better from that point.
Yep.
But some people, they feel like they don't even want to experience that. So
What, that rough patch?
yeah. So they do other things.
It's hard, but every successful person has a story.
They do.
Yeah.
Everybody does.
Everyone. Steve Harvey slept in his car, was homeless. I mean, it's even some
think
white
everybody has
billionaire
that.
people that have told stories on how they, struggled.
But that's what got them there.
Yeah.
Like, most billionaires came from absolutely nothing.
And let's be honest, billionaires, millionaires, trillionaires, they're rich because they're cheap.
Exactly.
What
That's
people,
why
what people don't understand is all these celebrities get.
To be rich, you gotta act broke. Or
Exactly.
I agree completely.
All these celebrities get handouts and endorsements because they know if I see you with my product, or if you have my product, I'm gonna make money. So I'm just gonna give you something
They're
for
not
free
buying it.
that's
They're not
nothing
buying it.
that
They're
I
not buying
manufacture,
it.
and you're gonna pay
They're a
it. So then
billboard.
people are gonna spend their whole check on it just to be cool like you.
Yeah.
So this whole I need money or this or that, like you can't always chase money because you'll be chasing money forever because when is it enough? It's
You're
never
never
gonna be
gonna be
enough if that's
satisfied.
your end game.
Yeah.
What was I watching? I was watching something on TV, and it was just like the guy was explaining how oh, all of my friends have private jets, and I'm, booking flights on Southwest. Like, they're still, like, all in the entertainment industry, what, from our perspective, watching them on TV, oh, they're probably rich, they got this and that. But on their level, it's still a level of, I want to get higher. So it's like, okay, I have a small plane, but he got that kind of plane, or this kind of yacht. I don't got no boat. I'm trying to get a yacht like him. Like, it's still just on a different level. So what's enough?
It comes back
How
to
much money
gratitude.
is enough money?
It's never gonna be enough, and in a way, like I feel like that's a good thing because it always pushes you to keep doing more and getting better and stuff. But then on the flip side, it's like, especially if you praying for your blessings from God, God's like, well, geez,
I'll bless you.
I gave you.
And now this
I
ain't
gave you
enough,
food last
right?
night.
Now
I gave
want
you.
2
I gave you a
houses.
Malibu. You talking about a Jag? Drive to Malibu.
Like, when is it enough? And it's just like, then your gratitude and contentment becomes so focused on material things and you forget about, the things in life that are free, especially if you go through like a health scare or something like that, then that's when things come into perspective, but it shouldn't take an awful experience or you
agree.
losing a loved one
And
or
that's
going
that's
through a
problem with black
divorce or
people.
getting sick to bring you back to reality, like those
It's always a life or death situation with black people for them to get to understand something.
I think it's just with people in general, but I mean,
True.
I just think for our African American, I think if it goes, from a school system standpoint, from the high schools, I think if these inner city schools, and I don't know, because I didn't go through CPS public, what is it?
Yes, Chicago
Chicago
Thank
Public
you.
Schools.
I'm a
Chicago
suburban
Public
kid.
Schools.
But at the same time, like, I think if maybe they instilled, and maybe they already have programs like this, but really put more and invest in more with the career centers and, doing, raising funding and getting grants to take these kids on university tours and really showing them more to life and teaching them more about, like, the financial aid forms and stuff. Like, because these kids, like,
They don't have
they
it.
kind of know about it, but they don't have
don't get it,
nobody to
though.
walk them through it. And
'Cause,
a lot
like,
of these parents are uninvolved, so it's like,
You
they
gotta
can only
think
do so
about them.
much.
A lot of the parents though in them scenarios, especially CPS, they coming from homes that didn't go to college or get degrees, so they don't know much about the process at all.
Exactly.
And then like
They
if,
just like,
if they
better
not
get a
getting it
job.
from if they're not getting it from the school and they're not getting it from home, which is where it
Then
really
they
should be
just not
coming
even
from,
gonna look
they
into
just
it.
lost. And then now you got time that overlaps and passes with them coming out of school, graduating, not knowing no process, not getting involved with it, and just saying, fuck it.
And there's so many other options. They can go to the
Trade
school, like
school.
you were
Yeah.
saying.
I really think trades is like a big push. Like, I mean, I'm not against nobody going to college because I went, and I think if it's for you, I think it builds character and it builds certain things in you. And these friendships that you get too, they last forever compared to some of the stuff you may get in high school. I mean, don't get me wrong, I got some good high school friends, but I feel like what I built in college was just a little bit more stronger.
That's good.
Now, I feel like that our people need to push kids to go in the best directions that fits their learning criteria.
Yes.
So like if you're a person that's good with your hands and technical work, like you should involve pushing them towards that.
Yep.
You should involve pushing them towards going that way. College isn't for everybody. You know what I mean? It's not, and I don't think we should judge people that don't go
No,
to college just
absolutely
because
not.
they didn't,
No way.
because
Yeah.
they could make just as much money as you do if they
They
pick up a
really
trade.
can.
Some of
early
them making
on.
more money.
They are.
I'm
do.
clocking in at a 9 to 5.
Man.
Miserable.
Right.
And they,
And they out here
didn't finish
winning.
college. Yeah.
Hell, winning.
Got
Doing what
their
they
own
want to do,
business.
entrepreneur.
Sure.
Yeah.
I recently participated in a symposium for Bobby Steele, who's the former commissioner on the South Side of Chicago. She was a close family friend of ours, and they brought in like some plumbers from the union. I can't remember which union, but they were saying that they have a need and a vacancy for like African American young plumbers.
Plumbers make dough.
They make so much money, I learned, and like they need more female plumbers. Like I can't remember her title, but like she won like some huge award where she's the only African American female plumber in the state of Illinois.
Nice.
And like
Wow.
she was there, and she talked about like how when she came in, she got trained, and like within like her first 4 years, which is what we're doing in college, not making no money, just on like student worker jobs. But like after her 4th year, she's making like 70 grand.
Sound
Whereas
about
here
right.
it is, we're getting out of school making 30 grand in an entry level
Sound
job
about
or
right,
something
yeah.
like that. So like there's so many opportunities you can go into, like woodwork,
Electrician.
electrician, plumber,
HVAC, conditioner,
nail
air
tech, hair
conditioning,
tech.
heat.
Like, what are some
Yeah,
more
stuff.
ideas? Because a lot of people don't really know. They hear the word trade, but they don't really like know that their friend who's a beautician or an esthetician or something like that, like that's a form of a trade. You know, you find what your passion is, find what you like, and you pursue it, and do your own certifications and get educated. People on Instagram who are big celebrities and good at what they do, but if they host like seminars or something like that, try to attend. Like go to that. Invest maybe $50 or $60 if there's a cost, because you're learning what they did to get good at what they did. So
and it's such a negative stigma on like blue collar jobs.
It is.
Because you don't think you're like, oh, I need to go to school and be a doctor or a lawyer.
Workers, they make good money.
Yeah. And you can make just as much money, if not more, doing a blue collar job.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a stigma. People don't want. I don't want to be a plumber. I want to be, even like waitressing. Like I complain about being a waitress, but like
but if you waitress at
a nice restaurant, you're making dough. Okay. I was hood rich on making Applebee's tips.
I worked at Red Lobster.
Okay. I was hood rich. I was like, give me them tables, give me them tips. Okay, I'm walking out with $300. Okay. On a higher scale, you're paying your mortgage. You sending your kids to college at a high-end, high-skill restaurant. You're making lots of money.
It's like whatever you decide to do, just be the best at it. If you want to stay in waitressing, cool. Start with Chili's and work your way up. Work your way up. Ain't no wrong.
And just save while you're doing it. Just save. Just because you just never know.
You never know.
Like,
it can be as simple. I would suggest everyone open a savings account and just have them take $5 to $10 out of your check, so you don't even see it, and just put it up, even if it's weekly, bi-weekly, whatever.
You might as well.
And on your savings account.
You won't even miss that
$5. Let it come out with your taxes. Throw that in your savings account.
Pay yourself first, man. That's one thing I learned later on. Like, you got to pay yourself first, and then you take care of the other stuff.
First, since I've been working, I don't be like, I haven't been doing that.
You will have money for them rainy days.
Yeah.
You will have money for them rainy days.
Definitely will come. Nobody's exempt from that. And I think what you were saying, Rico, about like why is it African Americans don't really thrive in certain situations? Like, I just think it's so important for us that like this is always an ongoing issue and topic in our culture and stuff, but like we need to really help other people. Like just
stop being crabs in the bucket.
Right, the whole crab in the bucket.
Right, we got to stop robbing and killing and stealing from each other.
Build your business to hire us.
Yeah, we gotta set substantial ground to build our own and take care of our own.
Exactly.
And I think in comparison to other races, that's one thing that we don't do that I wish we did more of. Like we used to talk about, like when Bob said, Bob,
right.
I ain't gonna let that go, but like Bob, if Bob was white and Bob have his son and come up and his son's coming out of school or even don't know what he wants to do with his life, he could set his son up for whatever job it is and let him decide what he wants to do after that. And I feel like that's something we need to do more so ourselves, but I've seen it where a lot of our people will get a job, get a position, and they won't pull the next black person up or won't help out because they either scared that person will either take their role or that person is going to progress higher than them. And I think that's that's an envious nature that comes about that we got to learn to eliminate.
Or they have a negative stigma on black people just like white people do.
They do. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's true.
I mean, we do it to ourselves.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. I mean, we got enough.
You can't always trust a friend or a family member to a position of a job because your reputation is on the line.
True.
And sometimes, and let's be honest, in corporate America, your reputation is really all you have.
You got to get to the next role too.
Yeah, that's all you got, and to keep your job and to move up in your job.
And we already combating racism in itself.
Yeah.
Right. Like in the United States. So you definitely, it may not be in your face racism at work, but you still combating to a certain degree because you are different from what the majority may look like at your job.
Exactly.
So it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's all about representation of self. And you kind of want to, if you want to pull somebody up in good standing that's going to represent you well. Same thing for your mate. Like if I go somewhere, if my mate goes somewhere without me, she's still a representation of me. So that same thing goes for in a job or career. Like you want them to represent you and represent you well, and not represent you in a bad fashion because your name is what you got in your life. You know what I mean? So I mean,
spread the knowledge. If you're successful, just like what we're doing, like we take time And I thank you guys for including me in today's podcast. I think it was perfect. You
Yeah.
know,
It worked
it worked out perfectly.
It was like it was meant to be.
But you know, just being able to share that knowledge and share that experiences that we've had, you know, to encourage somebody else or to give them insight to an area in life that they might not reach yet, you know.
True.
So yeah, it's all about just sharing the knowledge.
And to piggyback off that, I feel like as African Americans, not just in Chicago, but all over the world, I feel like 18 on up, whether you're in high school, college, trade school, whatever, help. We should just, like what we're doing now, we all helping each other. All four of us are in different fields. So whether we're in management or creating our own entities, we should have like our children, like for a summer work there. And even if I can't pay your kid a hourly wage, I could say, is your kid going to college? Okay, I'm gonna pay for their books, or I'll go half on the semester. Like invest in each other so that way, you know, we getting experience, we learning things, and we also building our own network. So if all of our kids are working for our businesses, maybe one day they can want to do that, or they can do, you know, whatever they want to do and keep building, and we can just keep things within.
If we do that, we can minimize our rate of employment being double the nation's.
We could.
With it being, like I said, it was 8.8% compared to the nation's being 4%, and blacks was represented at 8%.
Right.
If we all as a collective learn to do that over time, I'm not saying it's gonna be quick. A lot of things when I coach, we like quick gratification, quick. You know what I'm saying? Quick.
Our coach is like a decade plus.
Yeah.
Easy.
But everything takes time. Those millionaires and billionaires that we talk about, like it took time for them to get to that degree. When I see millionaires making, like even Warren Buffett is what, 60, 70 something years old.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure when Warren Buffett was 30, he may not have had what we got. You know what I'm saying? I'm 30 now, so you still at the beginning. When Oprah Winfrey was 30, she didn't have the national syndicate that she
everybody.
had.
That's
Yeah,
true.
when Jay-Z was 30, he was just still trying to get on as a
Right,
rapper.
exactly.
So that's what I'm saying. Like we look for instant gratification. If we come out that mindset and realize that we have to put time and invest time in ourselves, and our people, and our culture, and our kids. Once we do all that,
Especially in the kids.
yeah, we can. Because they the future.
Yeah.
They the way, and the only way they gonna be set up right is if we set up something right. So if we just think about self and it's about what I got or it's about what I can buy, our kids never gonna be right.
Yeah.
They're never gonna have it, and you gotta think about it from economy standpoint. With us coming out of racist negativity, like as far as civil rights and what was it, No Child Left Behind, and some of those other things that kind of led to trying to build a better ground for us. We combating against a lot of stuff because we didn't have economic wealth like they had back then to pass down to their kids. But now we have open opportunities to some degree to build it to where they can see it and we can do things for them differently. But if we got to come out that selfish mind state. If we come out that selfish mind state, it'll be different. And I believe that percentage of unemployment and all this other stuff that we combat, even dealing with racism, we can shut all that down.
Yeah.
If we just learn to do for each other on that
Power
level.
in numbers.
Yeah, power in numbers.
I
So
agree.
that's my take, man.
So in closing, I just want to get a final statement from everyone as far as like unemployment. Like, what would be your lasting, like, words or tips for people that are listening who are currently unemployed and feel like they can't, get a job? It's a dead end. They discouraged. What would you tell them?
I would probably just say, if one thing doesn't work, try something else. If that don't work, try something else. Just keep going. Think outside the box. Try to reinvent yourself. Look yourself in the mirror and speak positive affirmations to yourself to continue to build yourself up and stay positive. It's all a mental thing, and at the end of the day, something will come along. It might not be your ideal job, but it will be something, and you'll take that, you'll manage that money a little bit better, and it'll help you get to the next plateau. But you got to keep going, and you can't, look at the bigness of your need. You always got to look at the bigness of your God, because God's got you.
All right.
Okay.
Good words. All right. Jarrett?
I would say to invest in yourself as much as possible. Utilize, resources that don't cost you any money. If you're able to go to some type of seminar to learn about something. I'm not saying I'm not saying there's a lot of things out there, but you can find something where you can go ahead and invest in yourself. Like, just for instance, in my job, I work with a lot of Spanish-speaking people. I've been saying for the longest, I want to learn to speak Spanish. Just little things like that. Work on perfect your craft. I've been a bartender for over 6 years, but I went to bartender school even after having the experience. I still go to little seminars, still, classes on how to make drinks. Like, invest in yourself so that you can become more successful in what you're doing. So then you can stand out among your competitors. Sure, you have a master's, you have this GPA, you have this, but you're amongst thousands of other people with that same, criteria. Mm-hmm. So you have to make yourself stand out above the rest. So invest in yourself.
Great.
I would say don't get stagnant and just keep developing. You're never too old to learn something. Yep. You're never too far past your prime to develop a new craft or reinvent yourself to any level. Like, you have to keep going. Most of the people that we look at that's in these higher places, that's like even in the famous level, they keep reinventing themselves. They keep redoing things. Mm-hmm. And that same thing has to apply with us as we get older. We can't just believe that once we get out and when we do something, if we do get educated in something, like that's just the end all be all. Life is the best education. So as long as you have life, keep educating yourself as the years go on. And when you do that, you'll be able to grow and you'll be able to develop and find what you want to find. I think that once you do that, you need to find your passion. When you find your passion, you need to analyze that field, how it works, what's the growth in it, what you need to do to get in it and start it. And if it's your passion, the money's going to come eventually. It may not come right away, but it'll come eventually. So I think once you do that, you'll grow. And your unemployment won't be nothing but a thing of the past.
Hey, wise words. I know I piggyback on that. But, I agree with everything everyone said. And, just basically, I would just say step out of your comfort zone. And please, people in Chicago, as well as across the world, don't do anything illegal. It's not worth it.
It's definitely not.
You know what I mean? That just puts you, below unemployment because you can't provide for whoever or whatever you're trying to provide for in jail. It's not worth that. It's not worth taking your life or somebody else's or anything. So just basically what everybody else said, and just step outside your comfort zone. Like, don't have that one mindset like, I have to get a job in this field or I have to be doing this because I'm good at this. And it's only temporary. It's everything is temporary. I'm sure you've probably been through worse things in life. And you made it through that. So that's one silver lining. But would you guys like to give your, social media handles or anything you want to promote?
Find you at
anything
like
that?
Anything
like that?
On Snapchat. Vine. About that. Instagram. You can find me under my book. I have a published book.
Right, there you go. Right, plug your book.
Called Surviving in Stilettos. I published it in 2014, so a lot of people already know about it. But it's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kindle. And basically, it's just an inspirational self-help for anyone who's been directly or indirectly affected by breast cancer. So
that's
it was
dope.
a book that was important to me to write. I'm a 6-year survivor. So,
all right, clap it up. All right, that's dope.
A lot of people don't know that, but so I'm cool to share that, and feel free to support. I'd love to, continue to inspire other people and help other people. So with my Instagram tag, I'm sorry. It's at Surviving in Stilettos. It's kind of long, but it's just one word, Surviving in Stilettos.
Okay.
On Instagram, and then I have a Facebook page on there too, but that's it.
Okay.
Well, my social media handle, I'll give my bartending one. Since that's another way that I, kind of stay unemployed.
Jeray is a black business owner as well.
Exactly.
I want to put that out there. So
Right. Living proof right here.
So because, bartending is another passion of mine, I, do freelance bartending. So at One More Round, Moore, because that's my last name, Round. That's cool.
Gotcha.
Okay, cool. All right. So with that being said, we like to thank our guests and, be on the lookout for our website. We're about to come on iTunes and Spotify. And we about to get some merch, and the official I94 podcast logo is coming. So
we a work in progress, man.
Right.
We appreciate.
Hey.
Imagine where this will be in 10 years.
Oh my God.
We try to keep that vision.
Hey, I swear.
So we appreciate everybody else that have been tuning in with us. I mean, you can check us out on YouTube. Please subscribe to the page. We got former episodes. I think this is episode 9 we're doing right here. So, we almost a season in once we reach 12. And we didn't know it was going to go this far. So, thank you. We love y'all. Keep supporting.
All right, peace.
Peace out.